Today I'm going to explain the two main types of hormone, which are steroid hormone and non-steroid hormone. So first, steroid hormone are lipid soluble, which means that they can diffuse across the plasma membrane, because we know that in our plasma membrane there are hydrophobic tail, which consists of fatty acids and lipid. So basically our steroid hormone becomes soluble when they diffuse across the plasma membrane due to the same properties. And then our steroid hormone, we derive it from cholesterol, which comes from lipid. Examples include testosterone, estrogens, and progesterones, which we know as sex hormone. And then our steroid hormone is going to undergo a mechanism which we call as gene activation that promotes transcription. And the effects is slow and long-lasting because we know that our steroid hormone can enter the cell and they just bind to the steroid receptors, forming hormone receptors complex, and then they just directly activate the genes in the nucleus. This means that transcription occurs, so that is why their effect is slow and long-lasting, because they need to activate the genes first, and we know that gene transcription and protein synthesis takes time. And then our steroid hormone is synthesized by smooth endoplasmic reticulum, and then they are transported by bind to protein in the bloodstream because they are not water soluble. Next is non-steroid hormone, which is basically hormones that are water soluble, meaning that they cannot pass through the plasma membrane due to the different properties with the hydrophobic tail. So there are two types of non-steroid hormone, which are amines and peptides. Amines, we derive it from amino acids, for example adrenaline. Peptides, we derive it from protein. Examples include glucagon and insulin. So our non-steroid hormone is going to undergo a mechanism which we call as second messenger cAMP activation. And then our non-steroid hormone, they bind to the receptor on the cell surface instead. Okay, we call it as cell surface receptor, which is a transmembrane protein. And then they use a second messenger system such as cAMP to produce their effect here. So this is our first messenger, which is the cell surface receptors, and our second messengers. And then since they act through signaling pathway, which we call as signal transduction, their effect is rapid but short-lived. Okay, because they do not need to change the gene expression first. They just have to activate the enzyme using second messenger cAMP. And then our non-steroid hormones is synthesized by rough endoplasmic reticulum because they are protein, and then they are transported freely in the bloodstream because they are soluble.
So hello everyone, today we will continue on mechanism of hormone action. So untuk topik ni kita akan belajar dua benda, which is gene activation and also cAMP activation. So first we will learn about gene activation dulu lah. For this activation, we need to remember that it only involves steroid hormone that is lipid soluble. Kenapa kita perlu guna steroid hormone yang lipid soluble? Sebab this gene activation, it involves the usage of DNA. So DNA tu kalau kamu tengok dalam gambar aja di sebelah, dia ada di dalam nukleus. And nukleus tu dia ada di dalam cytoplasm. And in order for us to access the DNA, hormone ni dia kena diffuse into the cytoplasm dulu, so that the next reaction will occur. Kita masuk dekat poin pertama dulu lah. First dimension di sini, steroid hormones diffuse into the target cells across the plasma membrane. So that's why we need to use lipid soluble, so dia boleh diffuse into the target cell. The next point is that the steroid hormone bind to specific receptor protein. Ini adalah dia punya keyword, specific receptor protein. ini ni kita wajib mention because thyroid hormone ni, as we know, dia ada macam-macam jenis. Dia boleh jadi testosterone, dia boleh jadi estrogen and many more. So that we need to mention the specific. Okay? And the next point is it will form hormone receptor complex. Kita tengok dulu dalam gambar ni. First, hormon ni dia akan masuk pergi cytoplasm. And then di cytoplasm ni dia ada receptor protein. So bila hormon sudah masuk, it will bind into the binding site of receptor protein. Bila dorang sudah bind, then terjadilah hormone receptor complex. Okay, so the next point. Hormone receptor complex enter the nucleus through nuclear pore. Kalau kamu ingatlah kan, ini kan nucleus. Nucleus tu kalau kamu ingat, during SEM 1, dia ada this little tiny pore, many pore, which we call as nuclear pore. So, hormone receptor complex ni, dia akan enter the nucleus via nuclear pore. Done. Next, hormone receptor bind to specific gene on DNA and activate the gene. Yang ini pun kita kena mention juga specific gene on DNA. Specific gene ni adalah dia punya keyword, main keyword. After hormone receptor complex ni dia sudah bind dekat specific gene on DNA, then the gene will undergo transcription. Nah, kita masuk balik chapter 6 SEM 1 to form mRNA. Nah, di sini nih kita boleh tengok. So over here, after this complex bind to the DNA, to the specific gene on the DNA, it will transcript the DNA into mRNA. Next, the mRNA leaves the nucleus into the cytoplasm through the nuclear pore and binds to ribosome to undergo translation. Inilah. As we can see here, the mRNA, they exit the nucleus into the cytoplasm and the ribosome will bind to it. And then translation occur, protein will be produced. This protein, dia carry out specific response to the hormonal signal. So basically dalam protein ni, di sini dia ada information for the receptor. So di bawah ni saya ada buat satu carta alir for us to easily tengok dia punya flow macam mana lah. So first, we mention steroid hormone. Steroid hormones diffuse into the target cell cytoplasm and binds to specific receptor protein. Then, bila binding to occur, it will form hormone receptor complex. This hormone receptor complex will enter the nucleus via nuclear pore, and then it will bind to specific gene of DNA and undergo the specific gene will undergo transcription to produce mRNA. This mRNA then will exit the nucleus to the cytoplasm and the ribosome will attach to it. Then the mRNA will be translated into specific protein.
Okay guys, next kita akan dengar explanation pasal cAMP activation. cAMP activation stands for cyclic adenosine monophosphate, di mana dia khas kepada lipid insoluble. Bila kita cakap pasal lipid insoluble ni, mestilah kita tahu bahawa dia adalah hydrophilic molecule. Okay, first thing first, dalam cAMP activation ni, dia involve non-steroid hormone seperti amine dan juga peptide. Okay, amine dan peptide ni adalah derived daripada amino acid dan peptide adalah derived daripada protein that is soluble in water and cannot diffuse through plasma membrane. Kenapa dia tidak boleh diffuse through plasma membrane? Sebab plasma membrane kita kan ada phospholipid bilayer ni dia ada phospholipid bilayer. dekat phospholipid bilayer itu kan dia ada hydrophobic tail kan. Disebabkan dia ada hydrophobic tail itulah kita punya hydrophilic molecule ni, ini non-steroid ni tidak boleh masuk ke dalam. So dalam kes kita sekarang ni, non-steroid hormone ni dia act sebagai first messenger, which is dia banyaklah informationnya dekat sini. Information ini lepas tu dia akan bind dekat sini. Dia macam contohlah ini adalah substrate dan ini adalah enzim kita. Dia akan bind pergi ke sini. Sini ni apa? Sini ni adalah G protein couple receptor ataupun G protein link receptor. Bila kita punya hormon sudah bind dekat G protein couple receptor ni, dia akan menghasilkan hormone receptor complex. Sama kan konsepnya macam enzim substrate complex. Sama aja. So, bila terhasilnya hormone receptor complex tu dia akan bind kepada kita punya G protein. Bila sudah bind, G protein kita ni akan teractivated. So, next activated G protein kita ni dia akan bind lagi adenylyl cyclase, di mana bila activated G protein kita sudah bind dekat enzim ni pun teractivated. So enzim ni kita akan guna untuk catalyze ATP menjadi cAMP. Bila sudah terhasilnya cAMP ni dia akan act sebagai second messenger. Okay, so second messenger ni fungsinya dia akan activate protein kinase A. Dia senang aja. Dia bila sudah terhasilnya hormone receptor kompleks ni dia akan activate G protein. Lepas tu dia activated G protein, dia akan activate enzim. Enzim ni pula dia akan catalyze cAMP, cAMP, dan cAMP ni dia akan activate protein kinase A. So, activated protein kinase A ni pula dia akan phosphorylate various other protein by cascade effect. Mesti kamu tertanya-tanya kan apa tu cascade effect ni? So, kamu bayangkan je, cascade effect ni dia macam satu orang ni dia post satu benda dekat dia post satu benda dekat TikTok dan orang ramai-ramai repost benda tu. Bila sudah ramai orang repost benda tu, dia akan menjadi viral. Macam itulah cascade effect. Ataupun yang saya boleh explain dia macam dia macam domino. Bila kita sudah tolak satu domino tu dia akan jatuh dan dia akan kena lagi kan dekat another domino. So the next domino yang kena tu dia akan jatuh dan jatuh dan jatuh dan jatuh. Cascade effect ni dia macam satu benda berlaku, kena dekat satu benda dan berlaku lagi satu benda secara berterusan. Itu sahajalah untuk cAMP activation. Sekian, terima kasih.